Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to another YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, here we are to do another AFL 2022 season review, this time for the Essendon Bombers Footy Club. And I'm going to be reviewing their 2022 AFL season. Another disappointing one for the Bombers. Of course, we're going in ladder positional order and they finished 15th on the ladder. So a disappointing year for the Bombers after making finals last year as well. So let's go ahead, hop right into the video. What are we going to be doing in this video? So of course, as I say every single time in every review, we're going to be recapping the season in a live position, highlights, best win, good players, lowlights, their worst loss, what's next, trade period / coach, recap, and final words. Let's go ahead and hop right into things, starting off with the ladder position. So the Bombers, of course, rounded out the top four for the 2022 AFL season. They finished 15th, the last spot available in the bottom four. And they had 7 wins, 15 losses with a percentage of 83.2 in a disappointing year. Let's go ahead and check out their season. So the Bombers, they had a horrible start to the year. Losing to the eventual premiers Geelong by 66 points. Round 2, they just had absolute brain fades everywhere against the Lions to lose by 22. Round 3, they put up a pretty decent fight against the Demons, but lost by 29. Round 4, they got their first win of the year against Adelaide at Marvel. They won by 4. And then round 5, that's really where the disappointment really started to become true. They actually didn't play too bad in rounds 2, 3, and 4. But yeah, in round 5, it was a very disappointing game to the Dockers at Marvel. Lost by 48 points. Anzac Day wasn't too bad for the Bombers. They put up a really good fight against the Pies, lose by 11. And then against the Dogs, they lost by 32. And yeah, they were going through a really rough patch. And then against the Hawks, this win just comes out of nowhere. They win by 27 in the end. Essendon, Hawthorn, watch out for those games. You don't know how they're really going to end anyway, because there's been some massive comebacks, amazing stories in these Essendon Hawthorn games. So yeah, the Bombers, they picked up a really nice story in that one. And then just from here, this is where their season just starts to really flop. They lose to the Swans by 58 at the SCG on a poor Saturday night, 47-point loss. Another Saturday night game, 3 in a row now. Hawks, Swans, and the Tigers. Dreamtime at the G, put up 48. The Tigers put them to bed by 32 points. They didn't play too bad against the Power to lose by 16 in wet conditions at the Adelaide Oval. If they had competed a little bit more in that first quarter, they would have won the game. But they lost by 16 points in the end, and the Power pretty comfortably had the game in hand. And then a really disappointing performance for their 150th year anniversary against the Blues. They lost again. Really boring game, lost by 26. And then the Bombers just have a little bit of hope. They beat St Kilda, which St Kilda really had a chance to lock away a top 8 spot there. They lost it by 35 points to the Bombers, and the Bombers had hope. And going into the next week against West Coast, they thought anything was possible, lost by 10 points. And then the season started to turn around for the Bombers. They won against the Swans by 9. They beat the Lions at the Gab by 10, although the Lions had about 7 outs due to COVID, though. And then they smashed the Suns by 48. But yeah, after that siren loss against Collingwood, they lost by 4 after the siren. Things started to change again. They did win against the Roos by 48 points, but then they lost to the Giants by 27, lost to the Power by 84, and lost to the Tigers by 66. As a result, Brett Ratton was out of there. Well, Brett Rutten, I think it might be Rutten, is out of there. He's out of the coaching job for the Bombers. They are on the search for a new coach. I don't think that's been confirmed just yet. Worst loss against the Power by 84 points at Marvel. They had no reason to lose by that much. They lost by 66 against the Tigers as well. Really disappointing game. The game they should have at least tried in against the Giants, they lost by 27. So 3 very disappointing losses to end off the season. Their best win, interesting. I reckon it's got to be against the Swans at the MCG. Now, some of you guys may say the Lions, but there was 7 or 8 COVID outs to Brisbane. So I am saying, yeah, the Swans was definitely their best win. They overcame a really good side, the MCG, for one of their best wins ever. Against the Saints was also a pretty decent win as well. The Hawks win was something special for the Bombers as well. So, of course, the search is on for a new Essendon coach. Adam Yizzy, I'm not sure, like YZE, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. He could be their next coach for the Bombers. Trade period wise, they could get to go in the door, but that's about it. I think they're going to have a really quiet trade period here, the Bombers. They do the draft and preseason draft quite well. I think the only sort of trades they'd be involved in, though, would be a pick swap, because players aren't nominating Essendon as their club to go to. But nobody wants to leave the Bombers either. Or not many. There is, like, Nick Bryan that wants to leave. But, like, have we even seen him at AFL level? Not really. So, yeah, that might be a deal that gets done. And that'd be, like, a late fourth rounder anyway, third rounder. So, it's nothing really that big. I reckon they might do some pick swaps. They might do something with the Gold Coast Suns as well. But I'd highly doubt that. I reckon they'd be involved in live pick swaps, or just any sort of pick swap. I don't think they'll be doing anything in terms of players for this trade period. I think we've just pretty much wrapped up Essendon's season. I think it was just a really disappointing season for the Essendon Footy Club. They were a really disappointing side. They did have moments against, like, the Swans and the Lions where they were, like, on fire and they were looking really sharp. But once they just had won 2 games in a row, they just had a really flat patch, and then they won 2 more games in a row and then had another flat patch. And for Essendon, the season was just inconsistent and it was a really poor season. Definitely one of their worst in a little while. But yeah, disappointing season for the Bombers. They're on the hunt for a new coach. Trade period looks to be very quiet. A 15th place finish to round out the bottom 4 of the 2022 season reviews. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Send you guys and then miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye everyone. Flaming Footy out.